Hey guys, Chris with Project Nerf, and today I'm going to show you how we turned this into this. Alright, let's get those stock numbers. I'm firing AF waffles. I'm not expecting much. Alright, I think we're ready here. Alright, we got 10 good reads, a high of 61, a low of 48, and an average of 55 feet per second. I think we can improve on it. Let's get it on the bench and see what we can do. Alright guys, the WorldTech Warrior, and I have never seen anybody do a mod on this blaster, and it's such a great looking one, so we're definitely going to do a few things to it. So our objectives with this mod guide are going to be to get some flywheel performance out of it. Obviously, we're going to convert it to LiPo. This switch on the side, this on-off switch, that's going away, or we'll use it to turn on the UV LED or something like that. So we'll be installing a rev trigger, and I want to convert it to magazine, which I don't think is going to be that big a deal. So just a cursory look at it. Let me grab one of the Out of Dart's exclusive batteries here and see if we can get this thing whipped around. Alright, take the screw out of that. There's plenty of room in here to drop that battery in there and have room for our XT60, so that's great. So we're definitely going to be running it on the small 2S pack. But anyway, let's crack this bad boy open and take a look at what we got going on the inside and see what kind of job we're in for. Alright, I've saved you guys the agony of taking all the screws out. Now, to butterfly it, this little end cap right here was solvent welded lightly right there on the end of the barrel, so just like so. So what I did was take a standard screwdriver, a flat tip, and just lever my way around it like this until it popped, and it came off without any fuss. So I think we're ready to go ahead and butterfly this thing open and see what the deal's gonna be here. Alright, so we got that open, and there's the little scope that just pops out of there. That's cool. Set that over there. Alright, so a couple of notes here. There are about 1 million screws in this thing, give or take. They are all the same length, so that part is good. Alright, so let's see what we got going on. The drum should lift out of there like so. Alright, so that's not that big a deal. Alright, these are UV LEDs here at the bottom of the screen and at the top, so we'll definitely want to hang on to those LEDs. Alright, so big barrel in this thing, which is great. Minimizes drag as much as possible. It's a long barrel. That's the flywheel cage, and we're just gonna freaking go ahead and cut the wires off of this thing. You guys have gotten to know me by now. I don't mess around with the stuff. There's a couple of screws in it. Let's get that opened up and take a look at this and see what we can do with it, and then we'll go from there. All right, so there were 2 screws in the top that hold this together like so. And then once you get that off, there are 4 screws in the bottom of it. 1, 2, 3, 4 that actually screw the cage into that housing. These are 130 can motors. You can see they're not in there particularly good. They'll shift around. So let's go ahead and get these flywheels popped off and get a set of motors in this thing that we can work with. Okay, so for the sake of this, because I got a bunch of them laying around, we're just going to put Michelle 2s in this. But this bottom plate here that sets around the lug of these motors, I'm going to go ahead and take the Dremel and open that up, because I got a feeling that it's going to get in the way of our upgrade motor here. So I'm going to Dremel that out. We'll go ahead and get these motors fitted and, you know, take a look at some flywheels. Alright guys, so what I did here, as you can pretty clearly see, is I took my drill in a very small bit and drilled out some holes. Now these motors, the ME2s, are a good friction fit in this cage, but we want to screw them down any chance that we get. I don't like not having things mechanically bonded when it's possible, so we're going to go ahead and install these. And yeah, look at that, I hit it right on the head there, guys. I don't know how well you can see it. But yeah, I nailed that just by eye shot, so pretty pleased about that. So we'll take a little bit of our Loctite and doesn't take a whole lot here, guys. Just a little drop and some motor screws, and go ahead and screw these motors to the cage and get them mechanically bonded, which is the way we want to be there. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, so that one's in. Remember to put this one in opposing. Yep, same deal. Can you tell that I've done this once or twice, guys? Because holy cow, that's actually ridiculously good work for just eyeballing that up with the drill and going, yeah, that's close enough. Alright, so ME2Os in the cage, screwed down, Loctite. So here's the flywheels that came off. Here's my go-tos, the Inferno wheels. Hopefully you can see that on camera. They are just a little bit bigger, so we're going to have a little more crush, which is what we want. With our upgrade motors, this should really help us with flywheel performance. So let's pop these wheels on here and get this cage put back together. And there we have it. So there's that. Let's take a look and see how it's going to fit in here. Alright, obviously the wider part of the cage here is going to be for our big faux barrel. It'll go together like that. And again, that big faux barrel sticks out the end here. So let's see how this is going to line up. What we're going to have to do here. Doesn't look like much, if anything. Oh, all that clears, so we'll go ahead and screw that back in there. At least a couple of screws here anyway. Alright, cage is done. You guys can see in there our Inferno flywheels in there. They look pretty good. Nothing rubbing or touching. So yeah, alright, that should definitely take care of our performance woes. Let's move on and take a look at possibly converting this thing to a Magwell. Alright, so all of this I notice is really very, very well lubricated, which kudos to the folks at the factory for, doing that right. So the trigger connects directly to this mechanism, which rotates the cylinder. And then this little job here is the pusher mech, which all of this is not free unless you flip that little switch, and then we can pull the trigger. So as you can see, as we pull back, this tab catches the thing, rotates the cylinder, and then this is the pusher here. Don't see any reason that won't work. So what I'm thinking as far as a Magwell, guys, is first, obviously, we're going to have to cut down this rotation mechanism here. And then I'm thinking something pretty simple. The easiest way to do any of this kind of crap is to take a pre-done Magwell. This is one off of a Raider. And ultimately mount it. So we would need a magazine, and I love these because these are completely self-contained, right? The mag release buttons right there on them, so it's really easy to do these type of conversions with it. And a mag will fit, that's not a problem, and it's going to be about where I've got it set in here, so we're definitely going to have to do some trimming and body work here along the bottom, but I don't foresee that being too big of a deal. So I'm going to get some of this mechanism out, cut this rotation mech off. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of the whole arm, probably right up here to the screw. Yeah, we'll go from there. Alright guys, as you can see, I've completely gutted this thing out now. Super, super cool. Every one of these green parts came off, no problem. So since we're going to paint this thing up, because we're going to be cutting this old well out where the drum set, and we need to paint it, that just made it super cool. It also splits into two pieces here, front and back of shell, so we can set that off to the side. So we'll start our trigger work here in just a minute, but yeah, I wanted to show you that because that is freaking awesome. It's going to make life so easy doing a really slick two-tone paint job on this thing. So alright, so I've cut off this rotation mech for the pusher, so now we're just not dissimilar to a strife pusher here, so that's pretty cool. Plenty of room in the handle to go ahead and add a rev switch, so we'll get that figured out. But let's take a look at the Magwell. Now it looks to me like our mag is going to have to sit about there. So we are going to take off pretty much all of this cylinder here. So I'm going to start dremeling that and taking it down, and we'll see if we can get this thing to fit up. Alright, we have hacked this shell to smithereens here. See if I can get a little more light on the situation for you. Yeah, that's a little better. But it looks like we should, in theory, might have to take this post out here. Or this shelf. Let me take that down just a little bit. I think it's right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. This little edge here. We're going to take that down a little bit. And we're real close to this roughly fitting where it needs to fit. Alright, let's see here. Nope, it's got to go up just a little bit further than that. But we're coming right along here. I've got it rigged up where that's pulling nice and smooth. We're gonna stay semi-auto with this one. And our Magwell looks like we're gonna have to take this lip down here a little bit on this side, but for the most part, and we're where we need to be. It should be about like that. Yeah. So if we take this front lip down, we should be able to mechanically, oops. Yeah, right here. We're going to take that down and kind of custom it to the shape of the front of the Magwell there, and that'll let this sit forward just a little bit more, give us a little more clearance in there, and then we'll get to mounting this thing. Should be able to mechanically bond it by just screwing through this side of the shell straight into the Magwell as a good start. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. It looks so freaking cool. It looks like an M60 or something with that cut out like that. So yeah, I'm really happy with the progress we're making. So keep plugging away. Alright guys, I don't even know where we left off. It's a few days later. Sorry, my hot water heater went out. I had to run out and get one and replace that. But I guess on the brighter side, that video will be up on Busted Knuckle pretty soon. So if you ever needed to know how to replace a hot water heater, stay tuned for that. Alright, so to secure this Magwell, now because this blaster, because we're adding this, and this is a one-piece Magwell, it doesn't come apart like a lot of other blasters do, or at least it doesn't come apart nearly as easily. So what we're going to do, instead of hard epoxying it to the frame here or anything like that, I've made this cardboard template, and forgive the fact it's not perfect here, but that's going to go here. So that's going to be epoxied along the top seam here and a couple of screws put in it. And what I made from that was this hard plate out of Kydex plastic, and I've trimmed it. Now you can see I've got, so again, a couple of screws in here, and you can see I drew a line on it here. So we're going to heat this up and bend it so that it connects with the Magwell, and then we'll put a couple of screws in the bottom too. And I'm going to do this on both sides. And then I thought, just for fun, because this thing is going to have a pretty cool sci-fi look to it, that we would throw a couple of these bad boys on here. I got these like off of a Gen Urzo or something. Do something like that with it that really kind of flows with the look of the blaster. I really like it. It'll help hide some of the cosmetic stuff going on here. So anyway, I'm going to heat this up and bend it and get it screwed on, and then we'll go ahead and get this thing wired up. Alright, so we've got that bent in, and that looks pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Now what I may do right down here at the bottom is bend it back, just so it sets a little more flat, but all in all, I'm pretty pleased with that. So we're going to go ahead and heat it up and do this last little bend. That'll give us a good spot, flat spot to drive some screws in. And then we'll start kit bashing it a little bit and try to get this thing ready for paint. Okay, you can see I've got that formed the way I want, so we'll be able to put 1, 2, 3 screws here, a couple of screws in the top. We'll also epoxy it to the top of the shell underneath the screws. So we're going to get about that and get it wired, because we're just about down to it now, guys. Yeah, got it all done on this side here. It's screwed on. The Magwell is super solid. Everything still works just like it should. Got our little accent pieces on there, and I think they look super cool. Kind of helps break up the monotony of that plate a little bit, and doesn't even leave us too much body work to do back here. So that's great. So we're going to go ahead and yank it off the other side, put those on, and then we'll open it up, and I'll show you guys how we're going to put a switch in this thing. Okay guys, so how do I do the switch on these? I've done this quite successfully several times on a lot of different blasters, Rhino fires and things like that. So I took a switch plate and cut it down and hot glued it in, and then drilled a couple of holes so I could screw my switch into it. Then I've bent the lever of the switch and filed it down really skinny, drilled a hole in this dowel rod, and then drilled a hole in the handle for it. And then I built this up with epoxy putty underneath and kind of sanded it down to contour to it so it wouldn't wobble around so much. But it looks quite nice. Let me see if I can get this other half on here. So pretty simple ref switch there. It works nice. It's clicky. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of body work here. and get this thing in paint, because this one's been going on for a few days now, and I'm ready to get it off the bench. Alright guys, I know I've shown this 1,000 times on camera, but what the heck, we're going to go ahead and wire this cage up. Now, this is where the large hole is the front, that's the rear where it feeds. Okay, so it's going to set like this in the blaster. So what we're going to do is run the wires this way so they come up and over the top. So, you can see here, hopefully, that I've split that and twisted those. And what I like to do when I'm doing this type of wiring is put one of my little ends, one of my little ears that I made, through the hole in the motor tab, and then twist it up before I solder it. Just like that. Alright, so our iron is clean. There we go. There's that one. See, it's a nice tight solder. We're going to go to about here, give or take. So I'll take my Skinner and just hit it. And that's going to work. We're going to pull the insulation back. And I like to take a small screwdriver or an X-Acto knife like this. Just gently feed it in there, work that wire open. Come over top of the motor tab. Again, guys, nothing melts solder better than molten solder, so put a little blob on the end of your iron. Hold it where you need it to be. Let that flux. Let the iron off. Okay, so that's one lead. I don't know how long these have to be, so we might waste some wire, but that's okay. I got some extra. So. You see that's nice and solid, and then what I like to do is come back in with my nippers and just nip these ends off on the back side of the motor tabs like that. And that's how I do my cages. So I'm gonna, alright guys, we're gonna do a real quick polarity test on this so I know which side is positive and which side is negative, because I'm not 100% sure. So I've got a couple of IMRs and a little AA holder here. It's wired up to the yellow. We're just going to touch it to the black. That's going to make the motors go. And then we're going to feed a dart through it and see if we've got it, if green is going to be our negative or it's going to be our positive. So, hopefully we can... Alright, it is not, because it tried to spit the dart back out at me. So let's really quickly reverse these leads. So in this case, green looks like it's going to be our positive lead. Yes, it is. So there we have that, guys. So our yellow is going to be our negative, and if you're like me, it doesn't matter. But you can take and mark it on your motors. Like I did right there, negative, positive. And that'll tell me when I go to solder it up to the switch in the XT60 which wire is which. So that's how I do that. Alright guys, coming down the home stretch, I got a base coat on this thing. It looks okay. Haven't put all the covers back on yet because that's a different color, and we went with kind of a theme, so we'll show you that here in a few minutes. But let's finish up this soldering. So I've run my green wire. Well, my yellow wire just shoots out the back. That's our negative, so it's going to hook up to our XT60 connector back there somewhere. And then the green wire shoots around this way and comes to the handle, just because there's lots of room right there, and I don't have to play with anything or anything like that. So we're going to connect it to one side of our switch. In this case, it's going to be the normally open. And there we go. And I cut these stupid long, so let's see. Yep, we got plenty. So we'll take the other one. And what I like to do with them, guys, and this is just me, is get them tucked in here and give them a little bend. Just like that. Get a little blob of solder on the iron. What do we need it to be? Feed it some solder, give it a second to flux. There it goes. Okay, and that's nice and solid, so we'll be able to run that through there. Run this out the back with the yellow one like that. We'll cut those to length, throw that XT60 connector on there, and then we'll put the pusher mechanism and all back in this thing and make sure that it shoots. Alright guys, we got it all hooked up, wired up. Let's see if we can make it go. Yes indeed. So, it feeds, it works. I'm pleased. Let's get this bad boy put back together. Alright, let's see what kind of improvement we got. Alright, looks like a pretty nice set here. We got 10 reads. I have 119. We had one low outlier of 71. And our average was 104 FPS versus those stock numbers, guys. That is an impressive upgrade considering we were shooting AF waffles here. So, yeah, super pleased with that. Yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, we don't do a lot of cosplay LARP stuff all the time, but, you know, when I saw this blaster and its very sci-fi look, I knew I had to go straight Halo theme with it. We got a marked performance boost out of it, and, you know, things like our little scope still flexes and works. Successfully converted it to magazine, which, and a rep trigger. Which just makes life a whole lot easier. So this is a very functional cosplay LARP prop. Guys, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit us in the comments. As always, in the description box below, I'll include the fan mail address if you want to drop us a line, links to our Facebook, and our email if you want to reach out. Guys, till next time, this is Chris for Project Nerf saying have a blast.